and blessed to be part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning. Let's get to Brenda. She's been very patient. Brenda, thank you for calling and waiting here at KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kevin. Briefly, the topic of the puppy snapping turtle. I don't believe I'm the only one who has had to turn the volume off and or just stop listening because it was so sick. So with that said, my thought was, where's the Humane Society, cruelty to animals, and this and that, and then it manifested. Thank goodness. Then back, but to the infrastructure. Where did the money go that, pardon my ignorance on the dollar amount, but Obama had multi-million dollars for infrastructure nationwide, and nobody's asking where did that money go? And now it's happening in our own state and our own city. Where is the money really truly going? And where's the accountability? And we're, apparently getting so much influx of people, let alone revenue. Where's the accountability? And why is it so non-transparent?
Well, and this is why the race for the governorship is so important, because let's face it, we've had the broadband controversy, we've had the Gladiator Club controversy, and no one has been held accountable for that. People that were involved in those boondoggles have moved on and gotten better jobs and such. There is really no investigations going on in the state. Remember Governor Otter, who, again, is beloved by many. We won't argue with his popularity, but he's the guy that, not last year, was it, or 2 years ago? Last year he vetoed the repeal of the grocery tax after the legislature convened. The year before, he and the legislature colluded at the last minute to raise our gas taxes. Remember, our price per gallon, which was supposed to fund the infrastructure. Now, I don't know where that's going, but remember, the previous money was supposed to fund the infrastructure. So there's a lot of mismanagement going on that, Brendan, no one is held accountable for. You take a look at Boise, where you live. We're building this, that, and the other. They've got their own little hidden secrets. I mean, businesses have told me in the city of Boise that this is one of the most unfriendly places for business right here in the capital city, because the city just taxes the heck out of you and they bully you.
That's right.
And here's the other one. We're so used to our great quality of life that you and I can be marginalized because everybody would, as Chris Troupis has said, they'll go enjoy the beer and the ball games and talk about their team playing in the NCAA tournament. So the politicians do not fear repercussions. I mean, that's what we're up against. Look, here's the other one. In this puppy situation, they've confiscated the turtle, but the teacher hasn't been charged or exonerated. It's crazy.
I know. Yeah, what is that? What is with that? That's absolutely bizarre, insane. Why? Why do we allow? What can we do to change this? There's a myriad of issues, certainly, but same token is these are brass tacks right down to the core, right in our neighborhood. Why cannot we have some repercussion, or they have repercussion, or what can we do?
Well, it really comes down to, and then if I'm running for governor, I say, look, we're going to overhaul the system. We're going to do all these things, and we're going to, do our very best. And we're, if you like how things are, you vote for somebody. If you don't like how things are, then you vote for somebody else.
Well, we have been infiltrated, and I know that for a fact, through our school systems, through other colors you've mentioned,
Well, here's the scary part, that you have the libs that have taken over the city of Boise, and not just Beater and his as acolytes on the city council. But where are all the Democrats in the state of Idaho? They're in the city of Boise. And Republicans will tell you that winning Ada County, once the bellwether of the state, once the most conservative, like Orange County in California, is a challenge these days because of all the libs moving in.
I know, and I hail from Southern California 20-plus years ago, and the same exact thing is happening, and people need to wake up quickly. Well, you know, or maybe just let them have it. Maybe let them have it, and we move to our own districts and create our own
but that's the problem, Brenda. That's the problem. The libs follow. Because the libs, wherever they go, they destroy. Look at California, destroyed because of the libs. And look, I'll call them out for what they are: lib, lib, lib. And the libs don't like being called libs. It's funny. Now, conservatives, they wear that with a source of pride. I was talking to somebody. Well, I'm not as conservative as you, trying to say that we're radical here. No, she's a lib. You're a lib. Be proud to be a lib.
Destruction after every move they take. It's absolute crap. Pardon my language, but it is. And when we left California because of the same exact thing, and it just it's pervasive. It keeps following us, and no matter where we go. So we just have to be absolutely strong, get stronger, and get our mojo, whatever it takes for anyone to just get it right, get it going on, and be strong. I mean, I don't know what else to say except that the bullies will always railroad. They don't care. They have no moral sense, in my opinion, and their character and integrity is questionable, and yet they just do what they can because they don't care. And we that do care need to stand up stronger. That's it.
Brenda,
Sorry.
thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio. We appreciate you.
God bless you, Kevin.
God bless you. Stay out of trouble.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. That's what really it comes down to. Now, there might be some libs moving into town here for the NCAA tournament. They turn on and say, what kind of talent do you have here in Idaho? And here we are. We're going to show up. We're going to represent at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. I mean, really, it comes down to what Chris Troupa said.
Go enjoy your beer and ride your ATV and watch sports. We'll run the country. Go enjoy your beer and ride your ATV and watch sports. We'll run the country.
Holy cow.
Right. Look, that sounds like a good idea for a lot of people if you're a beer drinker. If you're not, you think to yourself, well, why are the schools the way they are? Why are the roads the way they are? Choices. You've had one person who has run the state for 12 years, gotten the state through a tough financial situation, who has dominated state politics for many, many years, Governor Otter. And you'll make the choice. That's why we have it up at KIDOTalkRadio.com right now. Who will replace Governor Otter? Whether it's Brad Little, whether it's Steve Pankey, whether it's Raul Labrador, whether it's Tommy Ahlquist, and we'll continue to vote. And by the way, if you vote and it's not registering, let me know. I think we have an issue with that. Hate those technical issues. So that's really what it comes down to. What type of state do you want to live in? And what type of future do you want for your children? But again, the libs are taking over. And it's our duty to stop them. That's why I always say, what we do here, because of your support, is very significant. We do our very best with Sean Hannity, with Glenn Beck, with Dave Ramsey, with Lars Larson, with Kevin Miller, to give you a voice that you don't have anywhere else in media or on the radio. And we're like this show, more than any other place I've worked, this is a small business. That's why we encourage you to share. And you're going, oh, that's just, self-whatever. It is. I will say that. Yeah, self-preservation. We need to continue, because if we don't, there'll be some milquetoast Patty in here, reading the news off a teleprompter. And the libs would like that. So that's why we say the real news, the real talk right here at KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up, I do want to talk a little bit more about the situation in Preston, Idaho. In addition to that, we do want to talk about some national issues as well and the treatment of animals. You know, you have United Airlines, as we talked a little bit about the other day, where you put a bulldog in an overhead container. What is that about? We'll talk a little bit about that as well. Plus, believe it or not, there could be another one of these on the way. Jared Halpern at KIDO Talk Radio.
A government shutdown is triggered next Friday night, and there's still a lot of mystery about what a spending bill could ultimately include.
The appropriators are still negotiating it. I'll leave it at that.
House Speaker Paul Ryan earlier this week would not say if a final bill could include a DACA fix for immigrants brought to the country illegally as children or border wall funding. GOP leaders are hopeful to have a bill released by early next week with votes by Wednesday in the House, giving the Senate about 2 days to try and pass a measure before that Friday night deadline. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Boy, that's amazing. That is utterly amazing that you've got another government shutdown on the way. My goodness gracious. We'll talk about it next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Christopher, I want to ask you one question. You said before you went to the break, you looked at me and you said, silence is acceptance.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I took it. Yeah, you remember that in contract law? You know,
No, I do remember in
there was an
contract
implicit
law.
promise that if you had said no, you don't want to stay for the next
But
break,
I think in
then
this
I had
climate,
it. But when I said,
nobody
will you
wants to say
stay,
that.
and you didn't say anything, silence equals acceptance.
No,
but what
I
is
think
the
in this
context?
climate, nobody wants to say that.
Say what?
Silence is acceptance.
What are you talking about?
I think the people who were marching on Saturday would disagree.
Oh, the
with that.
Women's March. The one where the president was tweeting that all the people are out there marching to say how great he's done?
No, how great the economy is. We have the lowest unemployment rate for women in 17 years.
You know that's not why they were marching.
This
Isn't that
president-
insulting to all those
this
women out there who are
president-
looking
No,
for leadership
it's not
and looking for
insulting.
someone to get behind them? And
On the
instead
day
he makes
that
a joke out of their march?
Whoa. It's no joke that the women's unemployment rate is the lowest in 17 years. It is no joke that over 500,000 new women enter the workforce on his watch.
And it's no joke that they don't get equal pay, and women like you have been forced to do it twice as hard as men to get to the same place.
I
and it's
certainly
not right.
have,
and you
but
know
not
it,
here,
and I
and not
know it,
for
and you
this
guys are in a
boss.
position to do something about it, and instead he's tweeting, you know, a little tongue-in-cheek about it. Why? Why wasn't he out there?
Chris, I'm sorry. Wait a second. Women didn't get equal pay after 8 years of President Obama. Millions of women are in poverty.
I thought he was going to do better. I thought he cherished women.
No, he is doing better, but we've been here for 1 year as opposed to the 8 years that we inherited. But don't do that. Don't say that women are better off after 8 years, where this president
I just said the
is
opposite.
trying to make that better.
I said they're
They
not
couldn't
ups-
keep
I
their
said they're
plan,
not better
they couldn't
off.
keep their
They're not getting
doctor.
equal pay. They deserve better, not jokes about why they're out there marching. These are very
it
serious
depends.
issues.
There we have it, 580-5436. Chris Cuomo, for those of you that follow this, he will be taking on our own Sean Hannity and Rachel Maddow. They're moving him from mornings to nights on CNN, 7 o'clock Mountain Time. One of the more captivating conversations with Kellyanne Conway. Kevin Miller in the morning here talking about the governor's race. Is it healthcare, education, growth, or the Gem State's relationship with the federal government concerning lands that are your issues when we're looking at who you're going to vote for in the May 15th primary? Right now at KIDOTalkRadio.com, you've got Dr. Tommy Alquist with 40%, Steve Pankey at 20%, Raul Labrador at 20%, and Brad Little at 20%. Who has your vote, your direction right here? We'd love to hear from you on this. Like I said, the NCAA tournament in town. Why not find out who the Blue Bloods are? By the way, congratulations to Buffalo beating Arizona. Also to all the Gonzaga grads in the area. I'm sure you're very happy. Little close one yesterday. And, of course, Ohio, where all good things come from. You've got the Buckeyes winning as well. Let's go back to the phones and go to Cindy in Caldwell on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Cindy.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. I have to say this. I saw a movie last night, and the gentleman who played in I Can Only Imagine, Mercy Me, the songwriter, his smile is just like yours. It was, like, amazing. He kind of looks like you, too. But you know what? I do live like I'm dying, and that's a kind of a country song because we all will. You know, for me, that's not a problem. Actually, at my age, 72, had it's like exciting because my eternity is already, I mean, I've placed my whole trust in Jesus Christ. So I have like no problem. If anything, it's just going to be just like in that movie, an exciting, just, you know, the veil's rent. Nobody's pulling me through. My Savior saved me, and I'm going on. So we do what we can do down here, but seriously, Kevin, you have that all-American smile, passion for what you're doing, and although he's a songwriter-singer who sang actually that song at the National Day of Prayer, he did. I can only imagine. So great movie, great redemptive compassion in there, and you just go do what you can do. You know, I've been fighting a battle. Talk about that bridge in Caldwell. And coming alongside the firemen, I've been down to the fire station, I've been over to the development. Tragic to say that I live in a senior building that when they did the construction, I won't go into every little thing that's wrong, but they banged that out so quick that I have a water heater on the porch that I have to heat the patio to get the water heater to get the even hot water. But they're banging out another building that somebody passed zoning 4-story that should be in Boise. I mean, I've worked in long-term care. I was over to a beautiful place, the Lenity, yesterday for assisted living. But I said, how did that pass zoning, you know, down in that little spot? Couldn't care less. It's like in your neighborhood, if somebody put up across the street from you, you were pushing these people out of their neighborhood, depreciated their value. Our town, I found from the firemen, who cares about safety? Somebody made a lot of money. I'm not even happy what they did with urban renewal here. It's ridiculous. But that building is unsafe. Our firemen don't even have a ladder truck. They would have to go to Nampa or Middleton to get up there. You know, so when people get greedy and I said to the people, I could name you what happens to seniors. I live in a 55 or older. But people stay here. I'm not kidding myself. I'm on an assisted living. So every time an alarm goes off, what you've done to that little place on Fillmore Street to have what a view. And even the construction worker said, well, we should have 3 months, but they're only giving us, we should have 5 or 6 months, and they're only giving us 3 months. So structurally, I will be down just to get it on the record that what you have done is jeopardized your firemen, the people that are in that building, alarms go off, you have to use stairs, one man up here already fell down. I could name you all kinds
but these are real issues that need to be addressed. Now, is that a city issue or is that a state issue?
Well, for the city, I found out in development that 4 people passed that could go through. So to me, a lot of stuff, and I'm not blaming, Tommy Alquist, who used a lot of urban renewal money because his signs have been on the other building that's going up in Caldwell. So I don't know, but I'm just saying it's greed that this builder here in this neighborhood, in that neighborhood went 4 stories up. It looks ridiculous. It's not only ridiculous, they've jeopardized our firemen, I say, and one fireman agreed with me.
So you're saying, though, there's no ladder truck in Caldwell?
There is not a ladder truck that tall that will get up to the 4th story. They would have to call Middleton or Nampa. So I'm saying to them,
you think, and Cindy, thank you for the call. You think with a city as big as Caldwell that they would do that since they're building bigger buildings and stuff, and that's a valid local issue. 727, Kevin Miller in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio. Let's get you to work safe. And Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. Phone number is 580-5436. 580-KIDO. So, again, you can vote at KIDOTalkRadio.com for who you think is going to be the next governor. It's going to be tough after May 15th, who, in fact, will be the Republican nominee. And then you've got Paulette Jordan. You have A.J. Belukoff as well. By the way, a belated happy birthday to A.J. Belukoff. A few things coming up. We'll talk a little bit. Thank you, Ted, for letting me know about that trespass bill. Many people have weighed in on that before. Your thoughts on that at 580-5436. 580-KIDO. It keeps going back and forth between the House and the Senate. So if you get caught for trespassing or convicted, I think now it's, $50, and it could be $500 or something of that nature, and you're going to have to pay legal costs. Many people believe this is just an ode to the big money coming into the Gem State. Big money, big issues, big lobbying. So we'll talk a little bit trespassing laws. And really, so many people buying land in the state, it's landlocking people out of their homes, out of their hunting cabins, out of their refuges, if you will. Certainly the gem state is changing. Is it changing for the better? So we'll talk, we'll examine that. Plus the situation in Preston, Idaho, where, get this, they've confiscated the turtle. Now, the turtle was just doing what snapping turtles do, and yet no one has charged the teacher. And many people think, well, Kevin, that's a Preston, Idaho issue. That's enough out of you. Well, we'll find out about that more next. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio, currently 41 in Star. Good morning, Maggie.
Good.
And blessed to be a part of your day. Welcome to the Treasure Valley, a land where we report on where John Calipari eats his breakfast and snapping turtles being confiscated by the state. John Calipari, the coach of the University of Kentucky. Kevin Miller here at KIDO Talk Radio. Wherever other people have news and other issues, we have DK Donuts and, again, this Preston, Idaho story. I want to give my buddy Ted a big props. He said, Kevin, you need to talk about this Idaho trespassing bill that is ruminating through the Senate. Kevin, this bill is the same equivalent as taking down the speed limit signs on the freeway and making it a felony for speeding. And it hits a lot of folks, and we'll get to that, plus your phone calls at 580-5436-580-KIDO, and the idea of taking away the rights of people that want to go hunting and stuff, and you have people saying that this is a travesty. We'll break it down for you as well. But we do have some phone calls. Hey, now. And we always love to hear from you, as opposed to me. So we will go to Pro-Life. Pro-Life, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Now, before you get rolling, let's we love our people here.
All right.
So let's pander to all those people from out of town that maybe they're up. What would you like to say about this area?
Well, this area is probably the best part of the whole United States, and we want you to move here if you have a conscience. If you are a wild thing, stay where you're at. We need people that have a Christian heart, have a conscience, and want to preserve life, want to do what's right. So, hey, we invite you to come here if that's the kind of person you are. And so we can preserve the way it is. To the extent that it is, it should be better, but that's what I'm saying to the basketball fans. I hope they enjoy their time here. So anyway,
and first of all, to all you sinners coming in, hoping to exploit and commit decadence here, move along, because we're righteous here. That's what I wanted to say.
Right. Don't find our prostitutes if we have some, and don't drink in the bars.
Right. Repent.
Yeah. Don't go to the donut shops. Go to some kind of a vegetarian restaurant.
Now you're hitting close to home there, no donut shops. Anyway, what can I do for you, sir?
Well, I like that you brought up the puppy deal down there at Preston.
They've confiscated the snapping turtle. They haven't charged the teacher. All heck is breaking loose, and those people have bungled that situation.
Yeah, it's not right. But listen to this. Truth is determined by conscience. Governmental laws are the lowest common denominator for which we try to have the highest standard in what our government's going to be. Now, it was unconscionable what happened down there, and it's, there's no written law, and we don't have common law juries, so that's not going to go to a jury what the guy did was right or wrong, So it's just going to wind up being nothing. But what you brought about is good, because then people have to determine, is this right or wrong? It's not whether it's legal or illegal. And so, you have to determine in your own heart and mind what truth really is. And it's not determined by what the professor says. It's determined what your own conscience tells you. And so that's where we need to go. And so when you have these kind of discussions on the radio, it's really great when we can talk about life, We need to preserve all life in the womb, out of the womb, and having health is a function of life. If you don't have good health, you don't have a very good life.
Pro-Life, great points. Thank you for the call. Jim in Star, otherwise known as the original Top Jimmy on Twitter, also the number one guest of Adam Carolla's podcast. Good morning, sir. We're so lucky to have you here in the morning listening on our little local yokel radio station, KIDO Talk Radio.
Oh, you're so nice. Hey, thanks for the cool intro. It's the real Top Jimmy if people want to check it out.
Thank you for correcting us. We always love it when people correct us.
I know. It's like Maggie O'Mara, huh?
Ooh.
Hey, I called about the governor's race. You want some calls about that, correct?
Well, we've got a poll up at KIDOTalkRadio.com where we have Tommy Ahlquist out in front, followed by Steve Pankey and Raul Labrador and Brad Little.
You know, you could take that old song. Remember that song, Safety Dance? And then do like the dance and make a little like joke with Ray there about it. That would be a good one.
Maybe you should save your suggestions for Carolla.
Maybe so. I know. Hey, so I ran into Butch. You as well. We live close by, Mr. Otter, and always a nice guy.
The governor of Idaho. Yes.
Yeah. Wife not so. Maybe not so nice. Maybe a little bit distant. Maybe a little smug. But he is really hot for Brad Little, and he just says, "Brad's the guy. Brad's the guy. You know, you got to go with Brad, Jim. He's the man." So it really worries me because it's just a continuation of, and Butch has done some things right, and he's got some great charisma and charm and all that, but I just don't think a vote for Brad Little is a smart vote because I just don't think it's going to do anything.
Now, I've done a fairly good job of promoting you, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Now, to be a little selfish, did you say, Butch, why don't you ever go on Kevin Miller's show? The last time you were on when you needed Kevin and the Miller militia to get reelected.
That would have been a pretty smart thing to say. And you know what? I do see him quite often, so I will. I know off air I'll tell you another way you can catch him a lot. But anyways, I will say that. I promise you, I will say that. And,
the governor is a smart, charismatic guy, and me, I'm a green pepper.
Green peppers. Just gonna say, yeah.
Green peppers aren't very intimidating. I don't know why they won't come on unless we tape something. I guess he just doesn't value the people that listen to this program. And okay, you don't have to come on, but since you're boys with him, why don't you ask him to do that?
I'm not boys with him. Hey, I was just thinking, what about the time we were all at the 50s Cafe that you love, and he was there sitting in the booth with you? Remember that?
That was when Dave Ramsey was in town.
Oh, okay.
That was for Dave Ramsey.
That was a fun event.
It was.
I remember Terry saying, "Where's Terry formerly from again?"
State College, Pennsylvania.
Right, and he said, "Hey, if you want to put the smackdown on Liberal Steve, I've got an idea, and I could take him from behind." So that was a good day. I had to talk Terry out of jacking up Liberal Steve.
Well, yeah, and for people just tuning in, we did an economic summit with the governor and some folks from Dave Ramsey, and we had Tea Party Bob there. We had you there. We had Terry that gave the governor a plan for how to mobilize the militias, which he never heard from the governor again. Then we had Liberal Steve kissing up to the governor, going, "I was with you all the way, Butch." And it was a really great day for the Miller militia. We had over 100 people there. But again, I just think I'd love to get his reaction when you say that. They're always talking about you, Butch. You need to get on there. Now, the point you're making is if you like Butch Otter, then he and Brad Little are partners, and there you have it. If you want something different, then you have Congressman Labrador, then you have Dr. Ahlquist, then you have Steve Pankey. Again, got a lot of good choices this time around.
We do. We have some great choices. I don't see any fault in Labrador. He's been pretty solid. I know he gets critiqued like crazy by the left. But we
don't call him the left on this program. We call him the libs.
We call him libs. Yeah, the libs.
Right, the libs. Look,
and
let me just say this: Brad Little has never had an issue of coming on this program. So, I mean, I will say that about Brad. He doesn't have. He's always been a big supporter of this program, and we appreciate that.
Did you know he's a rancher?
Thank you, Jim. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning. Before we continue on talking a little bit more about this Preston, Idaho situation, let's go to this Idaho trespass law. Under current law, a person has to enter the land and then do some sort of action for a violation to commit a trespass crime. Now, according to folks that have broken down this new bill, what this new bill does is create a crime for simply entering and remaining. You essentially have a victimless crime by entering and remaining. And this is by Michael Kane from the Idaho Sheriff's Association, former criminal prosecutor who is breaking this down for the Statesman. That is, every house in every subdivision in every city is in every house in the state. This is not about agriculture. It's about stepping over a property line. So, how should we put this? So, in other words, like when the Sons of Anarchy live next door to Kevin Miller, if they stepped on my land or when I was mowing my lawn, I could be charged for trespassing. You have Chief Levy of the Meridian Police Department saying we have neighbors that do not like each other and they share adjoining property. We respond to those calls every single day. We have neighbors that will antagonize other neighbors for the most silliest of stuff. This bill just empowers them to further do what they do. So here's how it breaks down at 580-5436. And I'm so glad the legislature did not bring up the repeal of the grocery tax. I'm so glad that the legislature did not go against the governor's will to have a hearing for CBD oils. I'm so glad the legislature didn't increase education funding even more. But this is what we've elected people to do, and this is why this May 15th primary matters. So we have the chief of the Meridian Police Department saying, quote, this is what's going on in Boise at the legislature, that if a neighbor steps onto another person's lawn while he's mowing grass, that is a criminal trespass. If you're walking your dog on the sidewalk and your dog does his business in the grass and you decide to do the right thing and pick it up, you're trespassing. No need on whether or not the dog gets charged with trespassing. Amazing. You have ranchers, hunters, farmers, all against this bill. Ammon Bundy calling out Senator Sidaway about this as well, who said in the paper, we quote, we have heard a lot of suggestions today. Many were valid concerns. I do not know that we can take care of this and make it a better bill in the time frame we have. Just blow it up. Just blow up the silly bill. Can you imagine? And look, there are a lot of people that have a lot of issues. Nothing more personal than your home. But could you imagine if you accidentally, or you're mowing your lawn, you could be charged with trespass? And then to litigate it, the burden is on the accused. Why would anybody put this measure up if you had any common sense? Maybe somebody in the legislature is listening. I'm sure they'd love to hear your thoughts on it. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Trespass me, no trespass you. Howdy-ho, it's Brian in Meridian with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Living the dream, and you?
You know, working my way down State Street.
I see.
Hey, I called you in a few days ago about this issue, the trespass issue, but you just made a point there that I think you need to elaborate on. And you said, who in the world would put something as horrible as this bill is written through? And it starts with Representative Boyle, and she put this thing through her own ag committee so that she's the chair of, instead of the judicial committee, which is where it should have been since it rewrites civil and criminal law. Why don't we find out where lobbyists, are paying her reelection campaigns, things like that? Are folks like the Wilkes brothers tied to her through funding and things like that? I mean, that's where the digging needs to go, and these people need to be held accountable as elected officials.
for doing this stuff. You know, they represent us. They don't represent big companies and, you know, out-of-state landowners and things like that.
Well, that's the big thing, is the big out-of-state money that's coming in. We see that with these elaborate self-sufficient neighborhoods with these huge mansions. Now we're seeing it with, the Wilkes brothers, who, by the way, are very, very conservative. They back this. You know who Ben Shapiro is?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the Wilkes brothers, they own the Daily Signal. They're going to buy the Blaze. So on one hand, they're very conservative. On the other hand, they're buying a ton of land here in the state of Idaho. And, you know, from what we've seen from the published reports, kicking people off, saying you can't come on land that I doubt they'll ever be on.
Yeah, do you remember last year in the summer there was that guy that ran into one of their quote-unquote security guards up in the Cascade area? It was on KTVB. There was a video there. You can still find it online. This armed security guy pulls this guy over on a Forest Service road and tries to trespass him up there. So that's the kind of stuff that you're going to run into. I don't know if it's grandstanding or if it's, blowing things out of proportion, but I did read one place where it said that if the Stand Your Ground law passes in conjunction with this thing passing, there could be all kinds of ramifications there. You know, your dog, like you mentioned, your dog doing his business on the lawn when you go to pick up the poop and then get shot for someone standing their ground. You know, they feel intimidated.
Well, and you have the police saying, look, man, we have to deal with people all the time. That's going to take up resources. And then, Brian, as you brought up, then all of a sudden the onus is on the defendant, not the accuser. Yeah, absolutely. That's probably the most egregious thing, is that making the payment for any attorney's costs, court costs, that kind of thing, falling on the defendant. You know, that's the horrible thing. Well, and here's the other one. No repeal of the grocery tax, no this, no that, but we're debating this issue? What's the priority? Exactly. Well, Brian, we'll continue to fight this one. Take care of yourself. Hey, you too. Thanks a lot. All right, Brian in Meridian, you can be next. 580-5436. 580-KIDO. By the way, our KIDO Talk Radio poll is up. Who's going to be Idaho's next governor, the NCAA edition? But back to this point, we all get into trouble with our neighbors and our friends unless you live in a really good neighborhood. Now, I have to say, because my neighbors listen, I love all my neighbors. That wasn't always the same. We had some issues, and there's nothing more stressful than dealing with people that don't have a respect for where they live. Now, an example at my house, and this drives Mrs. Miller crazy, is that when the little Millies, that's Carolina, Bama, and Buster, my little dogs go out and start barking, I'm out there yelling. In fact, there's a nice young or older lady, take your pick, theater of the mind here, that says, well, that dog needs to bark. I go, nope, not on my watch. And I'm sure some of my neighbors get a little kick out of, there's Kevin Miller out there yelling at his dogs, because I'm respectful of where I live. I don't want my dogs barking. I don't like when other people's dogs bark. When I first moved there were tons of dogs barking and shaking my fence. In fact, I had to reinforce my fence because some dog kept breaking it, literally. We all work hard for our property. But taking this a little too far, is there a public outcry that if I go over onto your yard and step on your grass, you can charge me with trespassing? It's deeper than that. There's something going on here. Okay? Those of you that love the outdoors, like our friend Ray Amaya and our engineer emeritus, Lee Eichelberger, you love the outdoors, right? Me, my pigment maintains that I stay inside all the time, like Shadow or whatever that movie was where the guy stayed inside all the time. He was white all the time. Regardless of that, you hunt, you fish, you hike, things happen. And Brian, bringing up that story where some private security guy on a state road is trying to force it, Idaho is becoming a fiefdom of the rich. And this legislation, those of who vote for it, know where they stand, and it's not with you. And people can get tired of that, or they can just say, look, enough is enough. Big money doesn't run us. The choice is yours. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. But it says a lot about the state legislature that this bill has continued on, especially as we're getting towards the end of the session. Usually we save that for the secret tax that we get, or repealing a repressive tax that would impact all Idahoans in a nonpartisan sort of way. 57 after the hour, traffic and weather together. Let's get you. And here's something that won't be reported by the fake news, the fake press. That's why we are the real talk, the real news. Is we're getting messages from folks that have been up there and they've run into the security folks. And they said, look, Kevin Miller, I've run into these folks. They're ex-special forces, no one to be trifled with. Does the word Black Hawk Down mean anything to you? Now, I will say, since I wasn't there, I didn't meet them, allegedly. But again, if those are the people that are running security, we're not Afghanistan, we're Idaho. What is going on? And what does it say that we can have an inmate who is convicted of drunk driving being killed allegedly by a convicted murderer, and there's no pending legislation to save those folks in the jails, which we had the Gladiator Club, and yet we have to laugh because it's too early to be mad, and yet we have a bill rolling through the legislature that could actually charge you with trespassing if you accidentally step on somebody's lawn. $500 fine, by the way. More coming up. You're home for Fox News on the radio, KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller in the morning. Good morning.